Hi, this is Scott Ware, the editor and publisher of Radiance Magazine, and you are watching this on Interviews on Xpnsion Network, which can be found on Roku and Amazon Fire Stick. I have with me today a very, very special guest, Buddha Maitreya. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Now, there's so much on the internet about you. There are so many great interviews that go and cover a lot of information. The Little Buddha was a movie that was told about your life, and many, many monasteries have enthroned you, have claimed you are the living incarnation of Buddha, and others have said also Jesus the Christ. And so, for obvious reasons, we would want to know. These are very interesting times we're living in. The COVID-19 virus has hit. We're in quarantine. People may be watching this well after the quarantine. And I imagine you have much to say about how we can navigate this process to our highest and best good. Isn't that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Okay. Well, with on the virus itself, this is a period of time that there is a lot transfiguring to become more soulful. And humanity is and has been for a long time been under a great deal of lunar kind of quality. People that are tyrants and dictators, people like Hitler and previous generation, and where we're at today with corruption and everything that goes on. It's hard to really do what we're doing in life. And then comes coronavirus. And that puts us all into reality. We're all facing our personal issue. How are we dealing with this? And are we willing to sacrifice what we think are needs, having to get out and do the things we need to do and just live our life personally, selfishly? Or do we empathize and do we open up with our heart and do we have a greater concern for others? And that kind of motivates us into doing the right thing. And so this is a big learning process for us to do that. Plus, puts us through simplification. We find that we can't pay our bills, we can't afford the house we're in, everything job-wise in our economy is really more than what we need. So this period of time gives us the opportunity to literally change our lifestyle. By the end of this year, there will not be many people in the United States that hasn't altered their entire lifestyle, and all the habits that they have and everything will be transformed into a better personal, higher level of mind and right relationship to things that go on.
So what do we It is. I mean, and so we have a lot of fears around these things. We have anxiety, but we also feel great love. We're spending more time maybe with loved ones. I mean, what direction do we go? What do you recommend we do for our highest fulfillment?
Well, the outcome is that we have an opportunity here. We have an opportunity to consider that maybe we have goals and ambitions and expectations in our life that waste our time and waste our money and creates a downward spiral on the ecology of the planet without us really knowing how and why it's happening. But if we take personal responsibility over our personal lives and do not depend upon produce things, can things, and all the things that get produced. And yet we spend our time learning skills and we learn abilities to garden and live correctly and sustain things in life around us that are both ecological and ecological. And we don't have the time for that. We're too busy working. We're too busy paying bills. Right now, we are given the time and we're forced to take these steps. And we're going to come out of it a lot better.
Yeah, it's interesting. We sort of had to be forced to get closer to the earth, to gardening, to getting close to one another, or to even learning more parts about ourselves because there's just more time to do it.
Yep. A lot of times it takes accidents, heart attacks, circumstances that are really hard to get through that actually open up the person to the soul and allows them to see life in a different way, more limited, but yet their heart opens up and they become more patient, more virtues are establishing throughout their life. They depend on people in a different way, with more love and more understanding, and not feeling that they can't be helped, but they should be helped when they need to be. A lot of people don't allow themselves to be helped or to be given love. So this really opens us up to the opportunity to give love and receive love, and not have to be dependent upon the little gratifications that we get out of McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken and all those normal things that we can gratify ourselves with. Now we don't have
Short
that
term.
opportunity. Yeah. Now we can
Exactly.
learn to cook. Yeah. We can learn
Exactly.
to live in our home and make our home a better place to live in. Take our vacations right at home.
I couldn't find the kind of frying pan that I needed at the store. They were all out of it, and it took a while to get it online, but I finally did get it, and I am cooking more, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You walk your talk. You are writing a check every week to, I believe it's Meals on Wheels in your area up there in Northern California at your Shambhala Monastery, and I understand you're giving to others as well. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, all around the world, in India, in Nepal, I have free clinics that are many, many free clinics that help people in all medical areas. And then we also provide food for all the needy in Nepal. And right now, in a lockdown, we have truckloads of food going out to houses and families to take care of them on a daily basis. Then Omaha, we have a Dharma center, so we make food there and we provide it every day. In Glastonbury, we have a Dharma center. We make food there and we provide it every day. Yeah. So, and locally, all the churches and anybody who provides food to the needy, I'm in touch with them, and I make sure I give them the money they need in order to feed more people and take care of the need.
That is amazing. How can people give to you to continue that flow going? Where can they go?
A lot of it is put on YouTube just so people know that this is going on, and they could become patrons from there if they like, or they could just go online to Shambhala Healing Tools, and right there you can donate for any of those programs.
Okay. Now you mentioned the Shambhala healing tools, and I know sacred geometry is something near and dear to you, and you use those. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I've been working in sacred geomancy since I was a child,
Hmm.
meditating in pyramids, working with geometric forms, kind of like this little thing here, and quite a bit. My work is established through the understanding of the seven rays, the understanding of the frequency of sound, light, technology, all the advancements in physics. I work along that line. So I'm more along the line of a scientist, an engineer, doctor, and along those lines. That's where I study. That's where I apply myself. So, but I work at a pretty high level when it comes down to medicine and healing. I work on an energetic level. I work around the world in technologies that advance energetic medicine and advancements of the etheric field. So all my tools are based on the etheric field in a very subtle way, but they're the most powerful tools you'll ever come across.
So is that mysticism or is it science?
It's science, actually science. And as we're getting more into quantum physics and
Hmm.
understanding the levels of quantum physics, my work is starting to make more sense. I explain everything in that form. Even one of my tools is called an etheric weaver. It's this right here. Yeah, it's just a
Hmm.
crystal. It's grown crystal, so it's not something that comes out of the ground. It's grown, so it has perfect vibration and perfect light frequency. And then I wrap it, yeah, and it's wrapped kind of like a battery and or a
Right.
relationship to a motor. And then it has two really powerful magnets on each side. That creates an electromagnetic field. And when you do that, even in a copper tube, if you take a magnet and let it drop through the copper tube, it'll just drop through the tube. But if you put that same magnet and put copper wire wrapped around it, it creates an electromagnetic field that's almost anti-gravity. And it slows the magnet down to almost to a stop when it reaches that oscillation of the circle that's coming in from those wrappings that's around the
And
tube.
what does that do when I'm holding it?
Well, when you're holding this, it's allowing the light of the frequency that's found in light. Yeah, when you have a crystal like this, you put magnets in it, it creates a piezo effect. A piezo
Hmm.
effect is a physics relationship to creating light out of a crystal, and that's by pressure. Yeah, so that light is manifesting now. You can't see it, but it's there, and we're actually tuning in to the light that's inside of every atom, inside of
And does it
every
have,
atom.
I assume it has healing properties.
Yes, healing properties, but it also connects to the creator, the relationship of the thought form building aspect that creates these geometric forms. Our planet, the trees, everything in it, all things of life is created through the mind of God. And that's my teaching.
And these things help focus, for instance, when you're in meditation or prayer, helps focus that energy for you.
Yeah, because at all times, God is constantly blessing us, keeping us alive and keeping us moving. So
Yeah.
when we use these tools, we're actually creating a frequency that's clearing or dispelling glamours and energies that are impure. And as that happens, more light comes into us and it stays in our body. So this is a way of actually retaining the light, and that's called the soul. When the body begins to retain the light, you start having a causal body. Yeah, but if you say and do negative things all day long, you have impurities and you lose your soul quality. Yeah. So it really requires meditation and the purification of your being in order to attain more soul.
So if someone is watching this and they're just lost or they're looking for a direction and they hear you are the incarnation of Buddha and the Christ and you have these tools, should they order some tools first? Should they listen to some talks? Do you have programs online they can look at?
Yeah, every evening at 7 o'clock, I do a meditation and a teaching. It lasts for about an hour and a half. A lot of it is teaching, and I'm basically educating humanity about the science of God and situations that are going on at hand, the causal reality of the circumstances that we have in the world. I actually explain them. I actually explain how and why they're going on and how we can dispel them and make it a better world in the future. Yeah, so that's just my education in the evening. And then I have the tools that people can go on Shambhala Healing Tools, and they can find those tools, the etheric weavers, and my music. I put out music that are initiated in Tibet because I'm the leading teacher in Tibetan Buddhism. So I
Hmm.
take all of those evocations, and I put them out in a pretty nice way where I do all the drums, I do all the bowls, I do all the invocations. So everything you're getting is at my level, my intuition, my spontaneity, all the influences of my energy is passing through the music. Yeah, so that's a
So you're
very powerful influence.
you're sort of a celestial rock star.
Very, yeah. Where I come from, yes.
Okay. Now, are miracles a part of your life there at Shambhala Monastery?
Yeah, really big. With the weavers and everything, and the tools and the music, we get constant feedback from people whose lives have been saved, their families been saved, their
Hmm.
neighbors have been saved, their business has been saved, just by allowing God into your life. I don't run around and tell everybody I'm Jesus Christ, because we've got enough churches doing that. Yeah, I
Hmm.
go around and have an active relationship as the healer of this planet, and I can heal and consult, and I can institute certain levels of understanding that'll direct us toward a better lifestyle, certain sciences, certain technologies. I'm very involved in the process of us getting the electric car. I helped to advance that into its making. I was very involved in the making of the computer. I helped to advance literally from the transistor into making the computer. I was personally involved in all of that. Yet
Wow.
I never take any credit. I'm just there constantly nagging everybody on the phone in some way, communicating with the people who make those technologies.
Hmm. Now, are you someone who empowers other people to have a relationship with God directly, or do you want people to follow you like a guru?
I don't need any following. Yeah, I definitely empower. My process is transmission. That's why I put out the tools. That's why I
Hmm.
put out the music. That's why I built Shambhala. It's a monastery, and I don't have great big things going out, tickets to the Shambhala, like going to Disneyland. Yeah, it is what it
Mhm.
is. It's a healing
Sure.
center. It's on 24/7. It's extremely powerful, and it's radiating and healing this earth, and it's directing it. God is directing the earth. and it has a way in which to do it. There's a science called Metatronics, and it's all
Hmm.
the science of God, comes all the way Enoch, Melchizedek. That's my teaching. I work in that area. I can talk with anybody in those areas, but the main thing is that that transmission is what I do. I make possible the transmission not only of the soul, which heals the personality and the world, but the transmission of the monad, which gives us higher mind and the ability to then understand the teachings that I would give at a later date when people are ready for teaching. Right now, people need to be healed. They need soul therapy. They need healing. They just need a lot of activity out there that I'm doing to clear the curse that humanity has. That's my job, is that I take up the curse and I absorb that curse. And after time, we will be in a better world.
Hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Um, are you when people come to you and they're looking for direction? I know you have that scientist side of you. What is that? The left side of the brain. But do you also the the experience of communing with God or having that oneness or feeling it? I imagine. Do you go into that exploration of? Do you help people? Because I imagine you got to feel something and there's emotions involved in that. Do you go into that?
Oh, to say the least. Yeah,
Mm,
I work out of my heart, but my
mm,
higher mind is monadic, so I could see and understand the tree of life, how God is moving things forward. And I could see the dark forces. I could see people from previous lives. I can see the reincarnation of Hitler. I can see the reincarnation of Mussolini. I could see these people. I know they're walking around. Yeah. I'm on top of their ass. I'm making
mm.
a difference in that way. I
Right.
seek out demons who reincarnate and I end their reincarnation as a demon. Yeah. I make it
Hmm.
impossible for people to follow them. I take away that devotion that automatically follows the demon and I move it into following Jesus Christ. Without me running around with a banner, everybody has a natural affinity to the Son of God. Everybody. Because we're all under the same banner. Just that everybody's kind of lost right now.
When you're taking away the devotion to, say, a negative force out there, are you doing that with your heart, with love, or
Yeah.
is there an actual clashing? I imagine it wouldn't be so much of a clash.
There is a clash because it's
Hmm.
wisdom. It's
Sure.
wisdom up against Dark Lodge. And the Dark
Hmm.
Lodge is a highly intellectual force that's really kind of dumb, but it holds its perspective as a strong sense of fanaticism. And it's carrying
Sure.
out whatever needs to be done as a dogma. So people follow that really quickly. They have lower mind that is very drawn to a little bit higher than lower mind. And those are people that are very rich. Those are people that have a lot of, they sold themselves to the devil. And there's an outcome from that. And we have a world that has been provided by those people who have done such a thing. Yeah, there is reality of witchcraft, there is reality of Dark Lodge, and we have surfaced within the world that reality. So nobody can see it, nobody can deal with it. That's what I do. I can see it, I can deal with it, and I literally walk into their life just like Sai Baba. I literally had to go to his ashram, grab his foot, and pull a demon out of him before anybody can literally see with a pedophile.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Now, are we still, regardless of all the dark forces, are we still all one?
Oh, we're always one. Yeah, we're always one. It's the dark forces that make an intellectual decision to separate things,
Sure.
create a competition and separation and all the things that go with that left-hand spin. Yeah, but we all have a divine reality, and that's our awakening is the fact that we use both hemispheres of the brain, not a singular side of the brain. We use both
Right.
hemispheres. Yeah, so when we reach through Christ, when we come to the Christ consciousness, we actually reach someone who has both hemispheres working simultaneously, and that is a transmission that wakes up parts of us that are not awake, and they're awakened through brotherly love, through a quality of sharing and influencing the genetic mainstream that we're in that's being held down by our impurities.
What is a good daily practice, which I assume would include meditation, that you
Yeah.
recommend? Maybe even that you do that could nurture a healthy inner life.
Yeah. Well, I definitely recommend anybody getting online, listening to me for 1 hour in the evening. Yeah, because I do an Om meditation. That's my meditation. I
Mm,
focus on Om. That's the word of God. It's singular. It's very simple. And it also creates that unified field, the influence of yin and yang, the influence of the energy that we think is lower mind, higher mind, astral, and higher psychic energy. All those things all get wiped away through the Om when we do the Om. It becomes a singular energy that's the
yes.
monad of God. Yeah, without any
Mm.
thoughts. We're actually making a tone that vibrationally goes along with God's tone. So that's a
Even in the
good
morning,
way to
10 or
start.
15 minutes?
First thing, 15 minutes is a good one, because if you allow yourself to sit and just close your eyes and focus on doing an Om loud enough so
Mm.
you could feel it through your body. Yeah. And just do
Can I
that.
hear can I hear you do it in the tone that
Absolutely.
I'd like to hear your tone?
Yeah. That's an Om.
I like it. I love it.
Thank you.
And that's probably the frequency of the earth or something. That's probably
Yep.
just the right frequency. Yep.
Same as the Schumann wave. Yep.
Okay. And how often do you talk to God?
24/7. Yeah, there's
Hmm.
no way I can. I am one busy guy because I don't really have a personal life, and I have
Hmm.
no fanatic life. I just serve. Yeah, God is right in front of me. Yeah, and so what comes in front of me is God's relationship to life. Yeah, and I am that expression for me to work it out. Anything that comes up, anything that I understand, anything that's going on, I am extremely aware of what's going on in the earth, on all nations, in all sciences,
Hmm.
under all circumstances. I spend all my time focusing and relating in that way, so I can help. If I have a closed door to reality, then I can't give my enlightenment to this world that needs it. Yeah, it could be lost in that process. So I lend my enlightenment just by revealing things.
What do you recommend we tell our children right now?
Well, if they can understand it's understandable to not believe in God, and to have a real strong influence of self-awareness, and that you're in charge of your life, and no one is in charge of your life, and that you need to make your own decisions. That's a good thing. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But
Right.
in order to make sure your morals are straight and make sure that your ethics are going to be clear, you have to have the hand of God to get you through this process. And God does exist in the form of Jesus Christ. Yeah. So by helping children understand that reality, that Jesus is not just Jesus, Jesus is Krishna, Jesus is Buddha. I have so many lives in everything in history. When you look back at all the avatars, those were me, and I could show you every single life. I can explain them. I
Mm.
absolutely clarify them. Yeah. So if people come to understand that that's what's real, then we understand we all reincarnate. Every child reincarnated from a previous life. Every great grandfather is going to die and come back. Yeah. And we're all going to be in life together. Yeah. I'm
Right.
here all the time. You're here all the time. And knowing that, that means we're on the tree of life. If we're in the tree of knowledge, we don't know God exists. We don't know that we reincarnate, and we're lost. And what are we supposed to do with our life?
And everyone has a unique purpose, yeah?
Absolutely. We have a thumbprint that makes us
Mm.
all unique. We are our own voice, we are our own image. Yeah. And we're the image of our personification coming through our soul, manifested by the monad. And the monad is a direct emanation of God. Yeah. So we start off as an emanation of God, and then we work our way into manifestation. Now we got to find our way back.
Manifestation, is there a more moral way to do that? Or can we manifest what we desire? Or how would that work for our highest and best good?
Well, the thing about the desire body is that it has a lot of astral, emotional dependency, which is
Hmm.
very, very transcendent. Yeah. and which means it's limited to reality. It changes, you know, as time goes on. You may want this, and now you don't want that, and you want something else. So you're constantly in a state of fixation through your desire body. Yeah.
Hmm.
But then there's a higher desire body, and that includes faith. You have to have self-esteem, and not the kind that's pride and ego and think that you're the greatest artist on earth, but just a
Hmm.
common, simple human being, yeah, that knows that you don't lie, knows that you don't steal, knows that you don't harm another person. If you know those
Hmm.
things about yourself, then you have self-esteem, yeah. But if you are a liar, yeah, if you do harm other people, yeah, if you do take advantage of another person, then you cannot build self-esteem, yeah. You know,
Right.
so behavior is everything, yeah. So helping each
Sure.
person gain this kind of reality, knowing that we are we are what we do, we are what we say, we are all those things, and we need to help each other become better people and
Hmm.
not accept or tolerate the process of another person's failure to become the best person that they can possibly be. And that's when the soul starts happening, when we help other people, not just ourselves, but
Right.
we, through our own awakening, we gain strength and courage, and we've released those impurities, and now we need to work on others.
Hmm.
Not judging, but literally lifting them up, yeah, by not tolerating it.
Sure.
Tolerance is not a part of the soul.
Especially if it's not in our vibration.
Absolutely, because we, through tolerance, we can be misled down the darkest tunnel. Yeah. We could
Sure.
buy the worst car. We can buy the worst possible house. We can walk
Hmm.
right into a Ponzi scheme. Yeah. So we
Yep.
literally have to become strong in saying no. So we can
Right.
learn to discern and discriminate. Yeah. And we have to fine tune our own life before we can begin to helping others.
With all that you've seen, with all the lives that you've lived, that you remember as these iconic figures, to say the least, what do you wish people wouldn't be able to see that you see? What do you wish to impart to them that you know from those experiences?
Well, the biggest thing is the rebirth. Yeah. People are not aware of the rebirth, that there really
Right.
is such a thing, that people are reborn, and they're reborn at many levels. They have many rebirths throughout their life if they're
Hmm.
really blessed. The more blessed you get, the more you rebirth out of that liberation, that process where you did not understand, you held something back, you had some kind of emotional holding on that you couldn't let go of, and you're reborn. And you know that you're reborn because it's coming from Christ, that you're
Hmm.
learning something in revelation that keeps moving you toward the disciple that you're meant to be. Yeah. And it's not about a guru relationship. It's literally about having a personal relationship with the master. Yeah. And there is an existing reality of Jesus Christ as the master of masters. So when people come in contact with that, it literally liberates them and raises them up into initiations. And those are rebirths. So the opportunity to go through all the rebirths that are there, you know, and just having the relationship with Christ, it opens up your telepathic process, not only for you to have that relationship, but to awaken mass collective consciousness into mass initiation. And that's what my work is to move people not into individual initiations, but collective initiations, so we can see God and we can realize God. And then after a time, we can actually talk to Jesus and realize Jesus. And one life after another, we can see the same guy, have the same experience, and continue having rebirths.
Do we have to wait that long to talk to Jesus? Can we do it tonight?
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It's an ongoing thing. It's just the whole process
Right.
that we're not in that moment in time. There is the first
Mm.
coming of Christ, and then no one knew when that was going to happen and how that's going to happen and what was going to be the outcome of that. And this is the process of the return, yeah, the externalization process. So it took like 2,000 years for me to clean this thing up to get to a point of externalization. Yeah, so we're at that.
Right.
We're gaining much more soul. We're very loving and empathetic people. Yeah, so it's we have through many lives had a relationship with Christ. Yeah, and many lives we're now furthering the purpose behind that relationship.
I feel like I'm like a lot of people, lapsed Catholic, but I have a much better relationship with Jesus than I did as a Catholic than as, say, a spiritual person.
Yeah,
Spiritual, not religious, but spiritual.
yeah.
How would you define the difference between religious and spiritual?
Well, that's the difference in Jesus. Yeah,
Mm,
the process of Jesus is that Jesus offers enlightenment. Yeah, and there's a consciousness that's involved with that, a view of seeing things and being able to determine how you're going to live your life, and how, it gives you a sense of freedom and a strength that you're somebody, that you have a soul and you can actually say it, trust in it, and tell someone about the soul. But if you don't have those things, you have those impurities, it's very difficult to say the word soul without
mm,
feeling uncomfortable, without feeling, oh, I don't know where I'm coming from. I shouldn't say stuff like that. Anything
I
on the
agree.
divine level, starts wreaking havoc on the emotional body. Yeah. And it's my job is to purify people so much so that the words of divinity start just flowing out of us. And we're so
Mm,
caring and so loving. We change all those very bad words that are all part of our lives into these incredibly wondrous words that have everything to do with acknowledging people's qualities and characteristics that we can't do right now. We can't
right.
acknowledge anything about people.
You said the divinity flowing out of us. Does that make us all channels?
Well, it makes us part of the Holy Spirit. We are
Mm,
all in our rebirth. We are reborn in the Holy Spirit by attaining grace, and that means that grace is what clears us. We can try our best to gain all the merit and do all the good things you think you can do in life, but it's grace that's going to give you that change, and it's going to happen in a collective way, not in an individual way. Yeah, so it's always by the grace of God that it
mm.
happens, and it's in God's time for God's reason and under the influence of the plan of God. So as time goes on, we get very aware of that, and it's a very impersonal experience, this life, but it's very joyful because you have no view that is clouding your view. Yeah,
Right.
your whole process of being able to see a better world and stick with it gives you a chance of living on this world a much longer life. During the time of Adam and Eve, there was 900 years to 1,000 years was the average life in the lineage of Adam and Eve.
Right.
From Enoch to Moses, and all, not Moses, but going on down to Methuselah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So all of
Right.
those lived really, really long times. And either the Bible is completely under fruitcake and just totally wrong, or it's the truth. And it is an inevitable outcome of following Jesus Christ. It's not a matter of living, forever, but it's a matter of living a long life that you
I
can
thought it was
prosper.
just I thought it was just because they ate organic.
Yeah, right. No, they had the Holy Spirit. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were born in the lineage of the tree of life from Adam.
Mm.
And it's the lineage of the tree of life that gives us life. Without that, we have no explanation for life whatsoever. No matter who you are, now what scientist you are, I don't care if you're the Pope, I don't care if you're the Dalai Lama, you cannot explain life. Yeah, yet where I come from, it's very simple. Yeah,
How would
comes
you
right.
explain life?
What's that?
How would you explain life?
Well, I'd explain it that it's the tree of life. We are all born under Adam. Yeah, Adam is the avatar. Adam is the incarnation of God's manifestation. Yeah, manifested Earth, manifested the moon, manifested the galaxies. But we live in a holy atmosphere, a temple, literally. But we can't see it because we go, whoa, those are nice trees. That's beautiful flowers,
Mm.
all the nature that we have. But we have no idea. We are inside of a pyramid, and we are geometrically configured with our moon and our sun and all our solar system. We are in a geometric, mathematical configuration that is overwhelming temple building. Yeah.
Mm.
And that's where we sit. That's our life. And that's our tree of life. We're inside that. We're inside of a temple. So we're going to evolve into galactical, cosmic, highly understandable people that not only leave this earth and do things that we're going to do, but we're going to do good things. Yeah. We're not going to harm other people. We're not going to do the things that we would do if we were to do it today. we would take advantage of Mars. Yeah, we would take advantage of other planets. Yeah, but the
Is
way
it
things are going to go in consciousness, we will do the right thing. Yeah, and we won't take advantage of things. We will raise our consciousness and just learn, be educated through our learning.
hmm, self-love? How much does that play a part in all this?
Well, it means a lot, but to receive love, to accept love from another person, actually is the level, like a temperature gauge, as to just how much love do you have. Yeah,
Hmm,
and self-love. Yeah, and self-love. If you really truly have self-love, then you would have a very calm, receptive process of receiving love, because that's where you're
sure.
getting it from. You're not getting it from self-love. Yeah, you're getting it from being selfless. Yeah. So you, in that process, you gain more empathy, you gain more compassion. It's hard learning life cycle. Yeah.
Sure.
Of what is self-love, and then you learn from those things that I need to be a better person. I need to eat better. I need to exercise. I need to do these things because it's literally I could see outside myself and I could see that's what's causing problems. I need to be responsible, for myself. Yeah, that's self-love. When you start bringing back your own self-realization and your not your knowledge, but your wisdom, yeah, that comes with higher telepathy and higher intuition, your compassion, your empathy, seeing outside the problem, and then changing your life in order to change that problem.
Buddhism and Christianity, as Christ spoke it, I imagine at times could be coming at something from different angles. Are there ever any conflicts in you with Jesus and Buddha?
Not really, no. If people follow what I teach, I explain the life of Jesus. When I was Jesus, I was on the cross, I died, I resurrected, and I walked again. Yeah, after death, I walked again. Yeah, so
Right.
that means you can either believe I walked again and then just disappeared and never came back, or I could tell you the other story, which is I walked and I continued walking and I went to a place called Srinagar and I lived there for a very long time and I established the Mahayana Buddhism. And this is all documented
Ah,
in the history of India. Yeah,
okay.
it's all written down in scripture. The place where I lived, the people that I established, all the monks and high scholars and everything I gathered in Srinagar in order to establish the Mahayana. So we brought all the texts and all the scholars together for many, many years. And that's how we got the teachings of Buddha synthesized to a point to where we now use those teachings because they've been translated correctly. I
And
overshadowed the translation because I was a previous incarnation of Buddha.
and the lost years of Jesus, as they say, I
That's
understand there
exactly
were
right.
monasteries in the East where there are certain books, or is it where it was Jesus and John signed in?
Yeah, that's fact. Yeah. Yeah. In Hemis, it's called Hemis Monastery. Yeah. And it's in Ladakh. Yeah. And it's very famous. It's also associated with my other lives. Yeah. And as Milarepa, my life as Milarepa, I went to that Hemis Monastery. And there I also taught with Naropa and many other students. And we all have a long lineage through the Hemis Monastery connected directly to Jesus.
How, having all those memories and all that information and being who you are, how do you not go mental with all of that? How do you pull it all together?
Wow, I'm very blessed. When as a baby, as a child, I spent a lot of times in dreams. I didn't wake up. I was asleep in dream state. Yeah. So I would spend 1 or 2 weeks in a dream state and I'd see myself
Mm,
as Jesus and the life of Jesus. And I'd see myself as Krishna or the life of Buddha. Yeah. And this went on and on. And I would tell my mother about it. I'd try and tell my father about it, but my mother listened more. So she was trying to deal with it. There were books about reincarnation. She read those. She started practicing yoga, because she thought, well, you never know here, who this person could be if he's any of these people. And then the Tibetan showed up when I was 9 and said all the things I said that I was these people is true, and that they
right.
need to take me back to Tibet because it's a better way for me to live my life in an early age. Yeah. So having things like that happen keeps me pretty straight. I didn't really depend on school. I didn't focus on school at all. I did my own thing. I got through it. I graduated. Yeah. So I stay
What
pretty
would
good.
what would people be surprised about the life of Jesus, about who you actually were living that life to the age of 33 or and beyond? What would people be most surprised about?
Hmm. Well, I wasn't a carpenter. I was a mason.
Okay,
That's the truth. Yeah, I did
okay.
masonry. That's what I was interested in.
Hmm.
And but it wasn't a job. Yeah, it was a skill that my father and others did. Carpentry was not really a thing. If you study that period of time, there really wasn't a lot of houses built out of trees, and need for carpentry. It was a lot of
Right.
stonework, a lot of masonry, a lot of
Makes sense.
cement, or not cement but bricks.
Hmm.
So it's more reality. And then outside of that, I left at 14. So I spent my time in India and traveled from India going on the Silk Road and followed the Silk Road, which took me into Nepal and took me into parts of Pakistan and on to Srinagar, where I stayed for a long time in Ladakh until I was about 27. And then I finished up there and knew that I needed to come back and go through what I had to go through. And I did. And people know that story.
They do, and I imagine it was quite a culture shock to go to India to experience that way of life because you came from a eye for an eye world to we're all one, and then you came back, and I imagine it took a little bit of to melt people's hearts in that way because that's what it took. I guess it was your storytelling that did it.
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time at an early age. When I went to India, I lived at the place where Krishna lived. So I had a lot of time at those monasteries talking to Indians that would share with me their beliefs in relationship to the avatar and Godhead.
Hmm.
Which is what I needed to grow on. I needed to hear more in that area. So every time I would move from one location to the next, where there would be incarnations of the avatar, and behind that would be left disciples who would still be in that location, and they would carry the clearest transmission of those teachers. So I spent my life, that 14 till the time I was about 18 or 19, when I finally got into above India. But most of my time was spent with those masters or swamis and others that are direct lineage disciples. So it allowed me a very clean transmission. It was almost like going back to my previous lives and sitting for about a month and receiving transmission from my previous life and then moving on.
Have you been coming up with new parables for these times?
Not really. No, everything is, to me, everything is a relationship of understanding the duality between darkness and light. Yeah, the influences of lies, the influence of uh, whether or not we can dispel the glamour, and do we even know what a glamour is? Yeah, do we have any idea, what it is that we're going to need to get rid of? Yeah, and that, to me, the parables are the revelation, the aspects behind revelation. And we all get that revelation in the same way. We see it in the same view once it's unveiled. Yeah, but it needs to be unveiled.
Is there anything we should be afraid of?
Fear. Yeah. Because the only thing that the process that comes with everything that comes emotional is the lack of our contact with our true higher self. And our true higher self has thousands and thousands and thousands of previous lives. So it's gone through shit that you can't ever imagine. Yeah.
Right.
And when we're connected into our higher self, we gain faith. We've been there before. Yeah. And even if we're going to die, we're going to come out of it. But we need to get to that higher point to where even at the point of death, it doesn't affect us. Yeah. And that's the only thing I have to offer people, is that we have to get to the realization that we reincarnate so that we can enter into our heavenly abode in the higher mind. because that is the message of God, is that we live in the tree of life. The tree of life means reincarnation.
And in this particular life, with this new opportunity presented us with the virus to reform our world, and certainly starting with ourselves, what do you recommend to people that they do?
I think they become aware of how this is being dealt with, and how wise they are in dealing with this on a personal level. You know, are you going to wear a mask? Are you going to clean your hands? Are you going to stay inside? Are you going to do these things? And when a person makes those decisions and feels
Mhm.
comfortable in making right decisions, they start seeing outside themselves. So today you look at Trump, and he's the only guy out there who really is telling everybody you're being politically correct if you wear a mask. That's the only reason why you're doing it. And that's in order to make them feel guilty that they're stupid and that they're just doing something that is being led by an ignorant force. And yet, he's the guy who's supposed to be telling you to wear a mask. He's supposed to make you comfortable in doing the right thing. So, in discernment and discrimination, in this process, if we look out and see what it is that's making this big mess, and that influence is what's causing the biggest problem in our life, is our lack of discernment and discrimination in the
Sure.
relationship with glamour. You know, we align too much to Kardashians, too much to football, too much to basketball, too much to fame and glory. And when we move into energy into that, into our lifestyle, when we do that, we leave God behind where we're supposed to be putting our energy. Yeah. So we're taking it
Right.
where it's in fame, where it should be in the process of humility. Yeah. And,
And
and,
that,
and yeah,
I was saying that kind of discernment you talk about comes from our relationship with the infinite, with the divine, right?
that's right. Yeah,
And cultivating that.
it does. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, because it unveils, but it gives us the strength to be able to see what it is that needs to be unveiled. And that's a light. We're actually penetrating that dark force like Trump or somebody else. And all of a sudden, they start talking more like the idiot they really are. And they behave in exactly the negative way that they're trying to cover up. And everybody else is gaining more light around them. And they're looking down, going, whoa, this person really have horns? Did you see that? Those weird things kind of pop out in the minds of people as the externalization of the Dark Lodge begins.
Well, this has been a very illuminating conversation. I'd love for you to give the information one more time of how people can reach out and engage you and your teachings and all your works.
Yep. Yeah. Online, it's shambhalahealingtools.com. And there you can find everything. And I work with Tibetan monasteries. Yeah. So if you ever want to help Drepung Losling Monastery or help any of the lineage monasteries that work directly from Tsongkhapa, Galupa, all the relationships of Padmasambhava, I fund all them. I make sure that they eat, I make sure that they have their education, and I build their monasteries. So if anybody wants to help with that, you can find that in that too. Yeah. So I do a lot of work, and
Okay,
anybody who wants to help,
you do.
great.
What, in closing, what would you like to relay from your heart to ours?
Give, yeah, give, yeah. That's all That's what we're here for. Yeah, we receive so much.
Hmm.
Yeah, if we were to simplify ourselves and eat right and live long, yeah, we would find that we have so much more than what we need, so much more, and we could see that it's coming from God, and it's coming from our good way of thinking. It's coming from our goodness, goodwill, and action is what's bringing this about. Yeah, so the more and more that takes place, I think the more and more we're going to be aware.
Hmm. Beautiful. Thank you, Buddha Maitreya.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
All right. And thank you all for watching.